What's going on, Vault Dwellers? It's Top Ranking Noob, and I'm back at it again with another helpful video for Fallout 76. And hey, if you guys want to check out some cool Fallout 76 gear, make sure you head on over to U4GM. I'm going to be putting their link down in the description, along with a coupon code that's going to be saving you 5%. So yesterday I did a video about fighting the Scorch Beast Queen and talked about whether or not she was even worth it anymore. It seems like she had really been nerfed up quite a bit. Now, about 90% of you agreed. Whoever have tried out the Scorch Beast Queen, lots of people have been having the same issue I have, where it's just been taking a ridiculous amount of people with a ridiculous amount of ammo to bring her down. And then the end result is, of course, you get gear that's mediocre at best. Now, again, about 90% of you agreed with this statement, for those of you who have tried it. But I did notice that there's about 10% of the people that completely disagreed with me, which is totally 100% cool. I welcome that, because sometimes I am wrong. So I did decide to fight this queen again, and this time I took a slightly different approach. And as you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm actually using melee this go-around. Let me tell you, I was actually still fortunate that the majority of the people who ended up joining in on the fight later on also went melee on her. So most of us that were fighting her, I think we ended up again with about 6 or 7, maybe 8 people, most of which were meleeing her on the ground. And as you can see, just by us talking right now, we're almost 2 minutes in, and we got her health down substantially farther than what I was doing yesterday. So what does this tell us exactly? What it tells me is that, and for the most part, most of us already knew this, the melee build is overpowered, the ranged builds are just underpowered. Keep in mind that this tune that I'm playing right now is not even built for melee per se. In fact, I don't think I have any melee cards set right now. I think I still have my shotgun cards up. So without perk cards, I'm still doing more damage with melee than if I actually had perk cards for ranged weapons. This is a serious balance issue. Now, I do agree that the 2-shot explosives were overpowered. I'm not arguing that fact. I agree with it 100%. The reason why most of us still flocked to them anyways is because the rest of the ranged weapons were just grotesquely underpowered. So it was either one extreme or the other. We had to do one or the other. Now it seems like we don't really have much of an option. We can either waste a bunch of bullets or we can go melee, which is unfortunate because I don't have a problem with players that go melee. I'm just not a fan of melee for Fallout myself. I've always enjoyed the weapons. I've always enjoyed the guns, I should say. Now, even if you are interested in going melee, I mean, that's awesome. But my hesitancy, you know, I just so happen to have some extra perk points where I can do a spec rebuild right now if I wanted to. My hesitancy for doing that, though, is I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and I don't know what the other patches are going to bring, basically. I don't want to sit there and use about 10 points that I've been saving up to respec my character, only to find out that they're going to change things back up again on the next patch. That was one of the biggest disappointments with this. I mean, you think about it, most of us, I'm just looking at basically the viewers here that agreed with me. About 90% of the viewers agreed with me, which chances are means about 90% of the viewers were probably ranged players that noticed the effect. That means that 90% of us are expected to respec our character, and we were given absolutely no points to do that. So if you haven't been sitting on points, which is probably most of us, now we're expected to grind some levels before we can actually respec our character to a new build. That's asking way too much, honestly. Isn't this game kind of grindy enough at this point? Not to mention the fact that the next patch might expect us to do the same thing, and the patch after that, and the patch after that. When it comes to online games, balance changes are a constant, but there's always something there for the player to kind of adapt to the balance change. And in this case, we have absolutely nothing for that adaptation, just grinding. So as you can see here, though, I did manage to bring down the queen much, much faster than I did yesterday. Like I said, luckily most of the players were also melee, so we took her down in this case in about 7 minutes, which isn't bad. I know some people said they brought her down faster yesterday in the comments, but keep in mind, I'm not even a melee spec on this character. And I don't know these other players. They might not be melee spec'd either. Even with that, though, the loot versus the time, I mean, I would say, okay, it's probably still worth it just to do something different. Because, I mean, just grinding White Springs all the time gets real old real quick, so sure. But if you are going to take down the Queen, I recommend bringing a melee weapon, whether or not you're a melee build at all. This character has absolutely no melee perks whatsoever, and still did a ton more damage than what I had with a 50 cal and a 2-shot explosive shotgun from yesterday. Ridiculous. So again, if you're going to bother with the Queen, go melee or just don't go at all. That's my recommendation, unless you just have a surplus of ammo that you just want to throw away. Nonetheless, all in all, I hope this video clarifies why most of us think that there's a nerf change to the Queen, but there's a small percentage of us that didn't feel the change. Chances are, for those of you, at least most of you that haven't felt the change, chances are you're melee builds, and that would explain quite a bit. I hope this video cleared some things up, and if you found it helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And thanks for watching again. We'll see you guys next time.